For the past 5 years, I've been reporting that there are not enough homes for sale and that we need more inventory. The situation has now become dire. In today's new construction report, I'm going to walk you through the evidence that points to a very clear picture of where the Tallahassee real estate market is heading and what is going to happen to the new home construction market specifically. While the data is from Tallahassee, it parallels the overall U.S. housing market, and similar conclusions can be reached. If you watch this video through to the end, you will have a great understanding of how new construction and the overall U.S. housing market is going to move both now and in the future. I've included a link to all the new homes for sale in the Tallahassee area today, and you should note that most of the ones available have not yet been built because they keep going under contract as soon as the homes spring up. Hi, I'm Joe Manausa, author of The Business of Getting Business and the creator of Manausa.com, where I've helped tens of thousands of people buy and sell homes. I would like to help you too. If you already are a subscriber, thank you and welcome back. If you're not a subscriber, please consider becoming one now. We offer the most thorough and accurate housing market reports on YouTube, plus answers to your real estate frequently asked questions, and we also provide virtual tours of some of the most beautiful homes in Tallahassee. Please remember to like this video, then hit subscribe and click the bell so that you're the most informed buyer or seller in your next real estate transaction. In order to take you from A to Z for the new homes market, we're going to provide a top-down analysis of the housing market, including both new and existing homes. They must coexist, there's just one housing market. Ask any buyer active in the market and they'll tell you there's nothing for sale. Though that's an exaggeration, it's not far off. This graph plots the number of homes for sale, segmented into two groups. Properties that are already under contract with buyers are shown in blue, while those not yet under contract are shown in red. Notice how the blue has seasonal fluctuations, but we really haven't seen a whole lot of deviation in the peaks and valleys until this year. It almost seems like the number of homes under contract follows a steady, consistent plan based upon the time of year. But the same is not true for the rest of the inventory of homes for sale. On the far left of the graph, there were thousands of homes not under contract. Now, contrast that with the right side of the graph, where there are twice as many homes under contract as there are those without. Also from left to right, notice how the total number of listings has dropped. Times have changed. Now, follow the green line. It shows us the percentage of homes for sale that are already under contract with buyers. From 2011 through 2015, we saw it bounce back and forth from the lower 20s to the mid-30s, averaging less than 30%. Simply put, we typically saw less than 1/3 of the homes for sale at any given time under contract with buyers. From 2016 through 2019, we saw that average ramp up to about 35%. I would think an average from 30 to 35% is normal, as that is what we saw in 2016 when the market returned to equilibrium after having been in a buyer's market for nearly 10 years. The market moved in the direction of a seller's market in 2017, and since that time, things have gotten crazy. Today, 70% of the homes for sale are already under contract with buyers, and we've seen the average hit 53% for the past year. We went from too many listings to not enough listings, and that is why we're seeing home prices soaring. We will come back to address soaring home prices, as this is and will have a huge impact on the future of new construction home sales. The linear trend of the total number of homes sold each year has been declining for the past 30 years. To be very clear, this means that over time, the number of homes selling each month is declining. When most people first see this graph, they're surprised. Most locals know that the Tallahassee area is growing, so most assume home sales are growing too. But that's not the case. When we remove new construction home sales from the data, we get the picture that most people expect to see. This graph plots the number of existing homes sold each month, and then the linear trend line in red shows us that this side of the market is growing. So why is this expected? We all expect moderate growth in the housing market that tracks along the population growth enjoyed in our capital city. Simply put, we're growing. The U.S. is growing, Tallahassee is growing, and more people living here means more homes are needed. It really is that simple. Sure, there are many other factors that come into play, like the development and demand for multifamily housing, but it's still a safe bet that larger populations will typically have a larger demand for homes than will smaller populations. That's why when we study new construction, population growth trends are a key component in our analysis. If you're in an area of the country where the population is receding, perhaps people moving away due to an economic downturn, then you really shouldn't expect a vibrant new construction market. There are many other factors that we study when we forecast new home sales, but population change is at or near the top of the list. So when we look at this graph, knowing that overall home sales are trending lower and existing home sales are trending higher, then new home sales must be trending lower. Not just lower, but far lower. The construction of new single-family homes has declined significantly, though it's finally on the rise. Look at the middle of the graph and you can see how crazy the new home construction market became from 2002 through 2007. For example, these 2 months produced more new home sales than did any year from 2010 through 2019. This huge expansion phase created a large surplus of homes that stagnated in inventory until 2016. Unfortunately, underbuilding for the past 5 years has resulted in the lowest inventory levels I've seen in my 30 years selling homes in Tallahassee. When we put both new and existing home sales on the same graph, it is very easy to see the overreaction that has occurred in the new home construction market. In this graph, we see the number of new homes sold each year, plotted in red, while existing home sales are plotted in blue. The gray line reveals the new construction share of the market. In the 1990s, new construction averaged about 23% of all homes sold. That's nearly 1 in 4 homes. From 2010 through 2019, we saw the new construction share of the market drop to less than 9%, roughly 1 in 11 homes. The difference is pretty extreme. In 2021, the new construction share of the market has shot up to nearly 14% in the first quarter, and we'll hopefully see the rising share trend continue. And this raises a very important point. People who are concerned with a new housing bubble need to understand the supply and demand dynamic. This graph explains the current undersupply status, and in the future, were there to be a bubble, this graph will explain it. If we see this trend continue to rise, it tells us that we're building more homes or creating more inventory, so we have to look at our months of supply tables to ensure that we're not overdoing it. But if we see it stay low and not bringing the needed inventory, then we know there will be no bubble and that home prices will continue to soar beyond the reach of the market. This latest trend is moving in the right direction, but we need to see it reach even higher. This graph reveals an interesting recent dynamic that has helped the new construction market grow. It is key to understanding where new home construction fits in the housing market. It shows that the cost differential between new construction and the existing homes market was so high that most buyers were drawn to the better values among the existing homes. At one point in 2019, buyers were paying 85% more for a new home than they were for a used home, and it was pushing buyers away from the new construction industry. But the shortage of homes for sale has accelerated real estate appreciation among used homes, so much so that it has restored the relationship between new home prices and existing home prices. Follow the green line in this graph. We know that the new construction market was healthy and vibrant in the 1990s. The green line shows new home construction home prices range from 20% to 50% higher than the existing home prices in the 1990s, with an average just below 40%. A very interesting point here can be seen from 2002 through 2007. Builders were able to produce too many homes because they were able to bring homes to the market at prices that were within 40% of existing home prices. Just follow the blue line across. The new home prices during those years fell between $200,000 and $300,000. New home prices will be twice that range as we go through our next expansion phase, and without low mortgage interest rates, that phase would not have occurred. Take a look at the green line during the housing market recovery from 2008 through 2014. It dipped a lot lower. In fact, with banks having foreclosed on so many new homes, we saw the new construction premium dip to just 5% in 2010, meaning new construction buyers were paying just 5% more for a new home than a used home. Now, look at the red arrow. Existing home prices have surged higher, thus bringing the new construction premium lower and restoring the relationship between new and existing homes. Perhaps we'll see this move a bit lower as the year progresses because inventory levels have bottomed to, as we saw in the first graph in this report, to where 70% of the inventory is already under contract with buyers. It was important for existing home prices to move higher because builders could not and cannot lower their prices. Builders can no longer produce a $100,000 product. The $200,000 product is nearly extinct. The $300,000 product is limited. So I'm expecting a median new home price to start with a 4 when most new homes are built upon recently developed lots. Let's explore this more in order to glimpse the future of the Tallahassee housing market. I have been tracking single-family permits and sales for more than 30 years. It allows us to look for spikes in either one that could indicate an issue in the new home construction market. This graph shows the number of permits pulled each month in red and the number of new construction homes sold in blue. Do you see what I see? Notice how far apart these two lines are in the 1990s versus how tightly they have hung together over the past 10 plus years. This separation indicates a looser climate where speculative building was the norm, while the lack of separation shows tight purse strings and far less risk being taken by builders and lenders. But the past few years appear to be showing signs that new construction might be loosening back up. And it should be loosening up. Remember, our population is growing and our inventory is low. Tallahassee does not have explosive growth, but we do enjoy a fairly continuous, predictable growth rate. Our annual population growth rate over the past 30 years has been about 1.38%, making today's population 51% larger than it was in 1991. Remember, if we have more people living here, it's likely we need more homes to house them. If we want to catch an early glimpse of new home construction, all we have to do is track the volume of building permits being pulled in Tallahassee. This graph plots the number of building permits for single-family homes each month from January 1991 through March of 2021. Last month's 106 permits were the highest number we've seen since 2007, a great sign that local builders might be attacking the housing shortage. Now, if you're getting worried about overbuilding the market, you can see that permits in March were less than 1/2 the number of permits in the record high month of May 2005. The number of permits in March was the highest we've seen in 14 years, but that does not mean it was exorbitantly high. The red line in the graph shows the 12-month average of new permits now sits at just over 50 per month, the highest the trend has been since 2008. This is just what the market needs, more homes. Hopefully we'll see the trend of new permits continue to rise. As expected, the price of newly developed lots is exploding higher, taking the price of new homes with it. This graph plots the number of land parcels sold each year in blue and the median lot price in red. Thus far in 2021, the median lot price has risen 40% over 2020 prices. If you follow the median price of lots from left to right, you can spot a foreboding fact. From 1991 through 2000, the median lot price rose a grand total of 58%, or just 5.2% per year. Tallahassee was flush with residential developments, the result of a lot of activity due to the initiation of the Florida Comprehensive Land Use Plan in the mid-1980s. But look how things have changed once those developments ran out of inventory. The rate of growth for the next 5 years was 21% annually until the market collapsed and then lot values fell and leveled off during the recovery. It has been upon these foreclosed lots on which many builders have been producing inventory for the past 15 years, and the lot prices are artificially low because of foreclosures. Some of the lots built upon over the past 5 years had been foreclosed multiple times, with the final acquisition price a mere fraction of the cost of development 15 years ago, and even lower still versus the cost to produce lots today. This is why we're seeing soaring land costs now, because the foreclosures are all but gone and the builders are paying what it takes for developers to produce lots today. This is one of those hidden stories that most people do not understand about the Comprehensive Land Use Plan and all the new rules and laws developers face bringing buildable lots to the market. Future market cycles might bring about price fluctuations, but the days of cheap lots in Leon County are in the rearview mirror. And the land is not the only aspect of new home construction getting costlier. To say that the cost of new construction is on the rise is a gross misrepresentation of what's happening. Let's take a look at lumber prices as an example. This graph comes from a report published by the National Association of Home Builders, and it shows just how explosive lumber prices have become. In April, the National Association of Home Builders reported that year-over-year lumber prices had grown 250%. And I hate to think what they're going to report in May when those numbers come in. The National Association of Home Builders also reports a decline in the number of construction workers across the U.S. And in Florida, the new minimum wage laws will take the minimum wage up 75% over the next 5.5 years. That's going to impact construction costs too. So when you compound rising land costs, rising material costs, and rising labor costs, you now understand the future homes are going to be far more expensive than what we've seen in the past. The rate at which new home prices rise will blow away historic norms. The U.S. housing market, just as we see in Tallahassee, has far too few homes for sale than the demand created by low mortgage interest rates. The only way to balance the supply and demand in the market is to either build more new homes or significantly weaken demand with a large rise in mortgage interest rates. With the economy still recovering from COVID, I just don't see the Fed raising rates significantly anytime soon. This means we should continue to expect strong demand in the housing market and thus a strain on the supply resulting in soaring home prices. If you are worried about the market getting flooded by homes currently in forbearance or new foreclosure actions, you should watch my detailed video on this subject to understand how distressed properties will likely be handled in a post-COVID economy. I have included a link to the video below. A good way to visualize the future of the Tallahassee housing market can be seen with an analysis of a life cycle of a large neighborhood. The parallelism between an area like Tallahassee and one of its larger neighborhoods contained within, like Southwood in southeast Tallahassee, gives us the structure to forecast the future. This graph shows the number of home sales in Southwood each year since it was established in 2002. The blue bars measure the new home sales, while the red bars measure the number of existing homes sold. There's a great variance in the new home sales, as 2002 through 2006 saw a flurry of activity as new homes became available. Also, these were the years that the housing market was surging, which helped Southwood get a lot of new homes sold. The declines in both new and used homes from 2007 through 2012 were based upon the overall market slowdown. Over time, as fewer lots were available in Southwood, the existing homes market took over and we've seen moderate growth in the number of existing homes selling each year. Someday in the near future, all of the lots will be gone and it will be existing homes that represent all real estate sales activity, which will rise and fall with the market cycles. Of course, there will never again be the flurry of activity that new construction brings. Southwood still has some remaining lots and they will go up in value faster as fewer remain until the buildable lots are consumed. And therein lies the parallel to Tallahassee. We have seen the majority of land developed and sold for new homes. Future developments will bring fewer lots to the market and come at a higher cost, which will be beyond the reach of all but the very top of the market. Overall demand will decline as mortgage interest rates eventually rise. Demand at the top is not fierce, so the remaining land in Tallahassee can be used for newer developments for many more years, but only at prices that the top of the market can carry. Yet Tallahassee is growing, so where do we put all the new people? The evidence I've presented is pretty clear. Tallahassee is growing and we need to house more people. The number of existing homes has been rising with our population growth, yet the number of new homes has been on a long-term decline. With land, materials, and labor moving higher at faster rates than we observed in the past, we're going to find the cost of new construction moving up far faster than will the wages for most people who live here. Specifically, the heart of our market, the government workers. I expect that Tallahassee is going to follow the trend that larger neighborhoods follow. Over time, there will be far less new construction and rising home values. Prime locations will draw premium prices, and the median wage earner is going to be cornered with fewer options. They will be priced out of the new homes market in Leon County and most of the single-family existing homes market here too. They will have to choose between location for convenience or a standard of living. If they choose location, they will either be purchasing multifamily or renting. If they choose standard of living, they will be buying homes in our neighboring counties, where the cost of land will be far cheaper. These are the normal growth stages that communities experience as land becomes scarce. New homes escalate to far higher prices and existing homes follow suit. The future new construction is in our surrounding counties, and the cost of living in Tallahassee is only going to go higher. While I'm fairly confident that mortgage interest rates will not rise greatly over the next few years as the economy recovers, I do believe rates will eventually push higher towards historically normal values. Right now, with interest rates near historic lows, people who want to live in Tallahassee should secure the nicest home possible and expect to live in it for a long time. Gone are the days of affordable homes in Tallahassee, so when interest rates finally do rise, the total number of home sales in Tallahassee, like Southwood, will come primarily from the existing homes market. New construction in Tallahassee is not going away, but it will soon represent a continually decreasing share of the overall housing market. If you would like to see more videos about current housing market conditions, I've assembled a great playlist that you can view by clicking on the box on the top left corner of your screen. For a playlist of top tips for home buyers, just click on the box below it. Please remember to like this video, check out the links below it, and subscribe to our channel so that you never miss anything.